Well, you are watching Issues at Hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Tumuhiro Bruno Edgar. Thank you for joining us. Yes, and Issues at Hand is proudly brought to you by Protea Hotel Entebbe. As the weeks and months keep rolling on, it's important that we make use of the wonderful amenities that are on offer when it comes to Protea Hotel Entebbe. Wonderful conference halls, wonderful hotel rooms, a wonderful luxurious scenery that can set you at peace and prepare you for the rest of the year. So take advantage of the number on your screen, make a reservation and booking today, and you will testify of the goodness of the Lord later on. And it is always a pleasure, yes, to have you here on Issues at Hand every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday as we tackle the relevant issues that are affecting our society today. Now today we are having a wonderful guest, an alumni, my alumni and OB of mine from Uganda Christian University, and that's Mr. Osborn Mushabe, who is a Senior Principal Public Relations Officer of the National Identification and Registration Authority, that's NIRA. And so we are talking about national IDs today and so many other things that NIRA does. And of course, we have the ongoing conversation on how there's an upgrade that's slated when it comes to the national IDs, and there's also mass enrollment. And so many of us have had issues with procuring national IDs, and so we're going to ask those relevant questions today. But thank you, Mr. Osborn Mushabe, for joining us on Issues at Hand this Wednesday morning.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure. Now, what exactly, for those of us, because we all, I'm sure many of us have had NIRA, but what exactly does NIRA do?
As NIRA, for starters, NIRA is National Identification and Registration Authority. We basically, mainly, we do anything to do with the national IDs. We give out birth certificates. We give out death certificates, as I will be explaining for all our dear viewers. We also do change of particulars in case someone registered and maybe would like to update his or her information. We also do replacements in case someone has lost his or her national ID. As NIRA, we also do what we can call verification. Maybe you may be trying to get a job somewhere, but you do not have a national ID yet, but yet you have an NIN number, so we also give out confirmation letters. But I will be explaining, I will be taking you through about all these processes. What do you need to get a national ID? What do you need to get a birth certificate? What do you need to get a death certificate in case you've lost a loved one? What do you need to change your particulars? You want to change a polling station, or you want to remove a name, or you even want to change the age details. And of course, we need to know that all these functions are derived from the Registration of Persons Act. NIRA is an institution of government, it's a government agency, and government agencies, of course, operate within the laws of the land, of course, with the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. The Constitution vests the authority on birth or on all registrations within the powers of the state. And then with Parliament in 2015 enacted a law, what we call the Registration of Persons Act. The Registration of Persons Act establishes NIRA as an authority. Section 4 and Section 5 duly stipulate about the functions of NIRA as an authority. And within Section 5, if I take you through Section 5, one of our cardinal functions, we have to operate, maintain, and manage a national identification register. We have to register all birth and death within this country. We have to issue out national IDs. Of course, when you register people, you must give them national IDs. We must make sure that we maintain that register by updating it, by registering citizens, by doing all it takes for us to have a convenient system that is good for planning and identification for the system. And we also need to note that with NIRA, we also get into the Registration of Persons Act. I know my host is a lawyer. At least I studied with you at Uganda Christian University, Mukono. I was doing mass comm by then, but I knew you. So when I take you through the Registration of Persons Act, I know you well versed with the laws of the land. Section 28 and Section 29. Also to stipulate and also give the details about how someone should be registered in case he or she has given birth or he or she has been born. We talk about birth certificates, how you get them, and of course, given time, I'll also take you through the registration offenses, what you should not do in case you are registering. Basically, that's the role or the function of NIRA as an authority. Issuance of national IDs, replacement of lost IDs, issuance of birth certificates, death certificates for those ones who have lost their loved ones. We do change of particulars. We do citizenship verification to ensure that this one is a Ugandan or an alien or a foreigner, something like that. So basically, those are the functions of NIRA as an authority. And what I can maybe tell you, my dear viewers, is that all these functions are all the services are being offered at our district offices in the entire country. You can do this from Mbale, you can do it from Mitoma, you can do it from Koboko, from even Kabong up to Kisoro. All these NIRA services are offered in there. In case you've lost your national ID, you do not have to travel to Kampala to get a national ID. You just simply go to your office, as I'm going to take you through the process. You'll be taken through the process, and of course you'll be given your national ID in case you want a birth certificate, in case you want to register your child, even if he or she is 1 day old or a month. You just take him or her to the district offices for NIRA in those districts. So that's the unique setup of NIRA. We are in all these districts of Uganda, except for a few that maybe started operating in 2017, the likes of Wampara, Kazo, Chitagwenda, Ruchiga, Rubanda, the new districts, but we are soon getting in there. Thank you, sir.
All right, that's fantastic to know, because back in the day, a lot of people, you had to travel to Kampala to get their documents, but it's good to see that it's spread out. Now, who qualifies to attain a national ID, and what are the requirements that are necessary for one to attain a national ID here in Uganda?
Thank you, sir. For one to get a national ID, of course, you must be a citizen, and the national ID, of course, quantifies or qualifies you as a citizen of the Republic of Uganda. And you all know you can be, we shall take you through the process for citizenship, especially citizenship by birth. For you to be a citizen of Uganda, you must know that all your parents, or your grandparents, or your family lineage, those people should have been in Uganda by 1926, when the boundaries of this country were demarcated. In 1926, I think. By then, of course, we were still under their colonial rule. In 1926, we got independence in 1962, but things do not just happen, but are made to happen. In 1926, that's when we had this country, Uganda, before there were kingdoms, chiefdoms, and of course amalgamations of a province. Kenya was a colony, India we are a protectorate. So it's in 1926 that we got our boundaries like the way Uganda is today. So all people who have been living within Uganda since then, all their descendants qualify to be citizens. But you as a Ugandan, what do you do to get a national ID? One, you get to the nearest NIRA office. You get what we call an LC1 form. This LC1 form, you have to, it gives you space. You have to fill in the details, your names, the names of your parents. In case they are deceased, you have to tell us the guardian, someone who is taking care of you, because you did not just bump from nowhere and just bump it and maybe get dumped into Uganda. We have to trace your lineage. We have to know that if this is Bruno Tamwesijire or Bruno Tumwesije, maybe Bruno has 4 children. These 4 children are attached to Bruno. Bruno Tumwesije is attached to, let's say, Allen Kukunda. Allen Kukunda is attached to Bazilake Amon. You understand? So you have to trace that lineage. Within that lineage, after you've filled in the details, you've told us about your parents, you have to get letters or signatures, stamps appended from the chairperson LC1. The chairperson LC1 puts in a stamp and appends his or her signature to prove that you are a citizen. You reside in that LC1, in that village, in that cell, and your parents are known citizens. After the chairperson LC1 has appended his signature and put in a stamp, you have to get to the GISO, the Gomborora Internal Security Officer. Because in NIRA, we coordinate very well with ISO, the Internal Security Office structures. Because they do verification and they are doing great work in intelligence. And that's how we basically get Ugandans. After getting from the Gombora Internal Security Officer, or whom we call the GISO, you get to the district. You liaise with the DISO also appends his signature to prove that all the investigations, all the affirmations made by the chairperson LC1 and the GISO are authentic, and thus you qualify to be a Ugandan. So after getting that LC1 form, you fill in your details, put in your parents' names, you get signatures and stamps from the chairperson LC1, the GISO, and the DISO. After getting that form filled and signatures appended, you then proceed to the nearest NIRA office with the photocopies of your parents' IDs, the parents' names you indicated in the what? In the form. If the parents are not deceased or living status unknown, you have to at least attach a national ID or a photocopy of your guardian. After that, then you have to bring in the relevant documents like a birth certificate. If you are Bruno Tumwesji and you are claiming to have been born on 26 February 1992, then you should be able to provide those details. We should be able to see that birth certificate. We should be able to say at least something like a baptism card, even if you may be not baptized because you have a right, like provided under Chapter 4 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. You have all your rights to even not have a religion, but in case you do not have a birth certificate, at least have an academic document. So maybe at P7, I was Bruno Tumwesji, I was born on 26 February 1994, all this is indicated.
And on that very point, what happens if your parents don't have a national ID? Some of us have elder parents who maybe at the time don't have the national IDs or the identification that
What
they
we
had at the time.
What we normally do, we always have to encourage the parent to first register for you to be able to use his or her national ID, because it would be hard for us in the system to authenticate and say this person is a Ugandan when your own parent does not want to be a Ugandan. And I've told you we trace the lineage. So we have to, your parents must have the national IDs. And I do caution all our dear Ugandans, please desist from such negative vices of using national IDs of your teachers, your relatives, your neighbors in the village when your own parents are still alive. So it is prudent for every parent to first register, to be able to register his or her child, because these children we have in here are very innocent. They did not come into Uganda by their own making. You who is responsible for their well-being, you should be able to take them on for registration. So that basically is the process for registration. You get an LC1 form, you fill it, indicate the details of your parents or guardian. You get stamps and signatures from the chairperson LC1, the GISO, and the DISO. And then you attach a birth certificate or a relevant document like academic document or a baptism card, even a voter location, a voter's card to prove that you have been using all these details. When you come into NIRA offices, we shall be able to capture your details, the fingerprints, we even take a picture, of course we need those images, and then we are able to update your details within the system. After 1 month, you would be able to get your national ID. But this is what happens. We have challenges somewhere. We have Ugandans who register but are not able to get national IDs.
Why is that?
Why? What I would like our dear viewers or our dear citizens to note, we should note, dear comrades, that when you apply for a national ID, NIRA as an authority has to do all this verification, has to do manual identification. We have to verify and prove that Bruno Tumwesji, oh my dear friend Maremo Allen, who is trying to register, is a citizen. You may have maybe correlated with some people within the process and gotten those stamps from wherever you got them, but we have to prove. If Bruno Tumwesji is claiming to be a son of Mugabe Yassin, we would want to prove and find out if Mugabe Yassin included Bruno Tumwesji amongst his children when he or she was registering. If Mugabe Yassin indicated that he was born in Katete Mbarara, but remember we ask for place of birth, we ask for place of origin, place of residence. Place of residence is where you are currently based. Place of birth is where you were born from. Place of origin is where you came from, or where you hailed from, or even where your grandparents were based. Like I, Osborn Mushabe, I will simply tell you that my place of birth is Mbarara, Nyakayojo. Place of residence is Shongororo, Ivanda, where I currently stay, or where I vote from. Place of origin, my grandparents came from Kashari, in Ruvindi. So, but if I, Osborn Mushabe, if I've provided details of my father, let's say Bruno Tumwesijo or Wilson Mushabe, Wilson Mushabe should have provided those very details that he or she also originated from Kashari. Osborn is my son. Right now we are staying in Ishongoro. The moment you provide the information that does not tally with what your parents provided, we have to query that application, and you end up not getting a national ID. The moment you go through, you are offered what we call a NIN number, a national identification number. A national identification number proves, or even if you have those digits in there, you will see something like CM or CF. C is for citizen, M or F is for sex, male or female. Then after that you get a year in which you are born. If you are born in 1994, you will see CM 94. Then you have, it even includes the code for your district, the district of birth. So, and that is a unique number. It's for you as a citizen. Even if you die, no one else will ever use that NIN number. Even if you lose a national ID and replace it, you will always remain with that NIN number. So that's when you've gone through. The moment you get a NIN number, you're just a few miles away from getting a national ID. But the moment your application is queried, you have to go through another process called the citizenship verification process. That citizenship verification process, we have to undertake it to make sure that all these citizens, maybe who had applied, maybe did not have details of their parents, did not even have all details. We have many Ugandans who do not even know their places of origin, who do not even know their places of birth. So you may find out that at the time, maybe when you are registering, you are a student at Makerere University, but who are unable to get particulars of your parents or the national IDs of your parents. Instead of telling this person that you have lost it out, it would be as an authority, as NIRA, we do background checks and give you a maiden chance to come and rectify your information to make sure that at least you also get a national ID. So the moment you do not get your national ID, please, it is prudent that you check with the nearest NIRA office. The moment you check in there and they tell you that you have been rejected, they will guide you in the process. You again fill the form, the LC1 form, get those signatures, attach photocopies of your parents' IDs, and of course, even attach relevant academic documents. When you go through that process, you also now become a citizen, a registered citizen, and get a national ID. So it's not lost. It's never okay. You have do not lose hope. In case your application has been rejected, please do not register again, but go through the CV process, what we call the citizenship verification process. All this is done when you seek information from our offices. You can even get this information from our website, so on, and even our social media platforms, because we always handle all these questions promptly.
All right. On that very discussion, a couple of things. One, how long does that process of verification, whether verifying whether a citizen or not, take? But two, I personally know many instances of people who have registered for national IDs, but they have delayed. There's been a delay in them getting their national IDs, and why? Yes, like you've said, you have a NIN number, but still you need the national ID, the actual card, and it becomes a frustrating process for them to get that ID. Why is that, and how can that be rectified?
Thank you, sir. One, we need to know that the citizenship verification process takes only just 2 days. The moment you have provided the right details. It used to be 1 month, but as NIRA as an authority, we are putting in synergies to improve services. So at least we have brought it down from 1 month to 2 days. In case your application has been rejected, you can apply for citizenship review, citizenship verification and in 2 days you'll be given a NIN number, and within just 3 weeks or a month, you have your national ID. What normally brings the delays is the information that has been provided. Section 76 and Section 77 of the Registration of Persons Act do stipulate about registration offenses. Section 53 of the same act talk about falsifying information. I will dwell so much on Section 53. We have very many Ugandans who falsify information, who do not give the right information. You find your parent registered you as Bruno Tumwesiji, but because you came to Kampala and you have good Luganda accent, you think you can no longer be associated with Ankole. So you now want to become Bruno Semwanga without even going through the process. Semwanga Bruno and Tumwesiji Bruno are different citizens. We have to verify and make sure and find out if your dad in Ntungamo or your dad in Rwampara provided all that information. The moment there is a mismatch, we have to take time and verify, because you cannot easily reject someone's application. And we have to know that as NIRA, we have Uganda right now, we have over 45 million Ugandans, actually almost clocking 49 million. Out of the 49 million, we still have around 15 million Ugandans who are not yet registered. So the moment you receive applications, let's say 1 million applications, you will not do all this manual verification or identification in a day. It has to take time, because the moment you deny someone citizenship, yet this very person was eligible to be a citizen, you are doing a country a disservice. So for us not to do a disservice, we have to take time, we have to verify, we have even to make sure we verify those stamps, the signatures from the chairperson of the LC ones, the DISOs and the GISOs. We have to give priorities to those ones who have provided the right requirements. If you have provided wrong information, we have to take time verifying your details, hence taking long. And we have to know that the entire system, it relies on NIRA. Even if it's electoral commission and we're going into the electoral process, we want to vote, maybe you even have you want a driving permit, you want a passport, their only onus is to check on the NIRA system if you really have a NIN number, and you'll be set free, you'll be good to go. So that means for NIRA, it has to do the donkey work, it has to do the groundwork. And that's why you end up delaying, because of the manual verification and identification, to make sure we do not deny our dear citizens their citizenship.
And on that, because I'm sure you've heard that one of the hardest things to get in Uganda right now is a national ID, which is a running joke that has been going around. And one is because of that delayed process, but two, the issue of renewal of IDs. For example, if a person has lost a national ID, what is the process of regaining that national ID if one has lost or if it has been stolen, and why is it that it takes so long? Because I personally know someone, my own sister, who took about 3 years after she registered for a new national ID after renewal of an ID after it was her pass was stolen with a national ID in it, and it took 3 years for her to get a national ID, and she was bounced from one office to another. They told her go to Central, next time they told her go to Wakiso, and it became a ping pong until finally we had to find someone who could help us. So that's the question: how can you, when you lose a national ID, how can you renew it, and why is the process so frustrating?
It's not that the process is still frustrating. Like I've told you, we normally say that a poor workman blames his tools. So most times these Ugandans, we need to take our own blame. Ugandans who falsify information, who give false information, will always have to delay, because it takes time to verify, it takes time to identify these citizens. The moment you lose your national ID, maybe it has been stolen, or you've lost it somewhere, or it's damaged. This is what you're basically supposed to do. You simply get a police letter, and it's free of charge. Uganda Police is doing great work. It is assisting us in registration. All those police letters are for free. After getting a police letter, you just pay 50,000 in the bank, in any bank of your choice, at your own convenience. You just present the police letter, and and the bank payment receipt to the nearest NIRA office. They will just simply capture your details, and they will make sure that they stick to the information that was on the original national ID. If you were Osborn Mushabe, if you were Mushabe Osborn, born in 1992, born in Mbarara, but a resident of Ishongororo, Ibanda, and whose origin was Kashari, we expect you to maintain those details when you are pressing a national ID. What could have happened to your sister? Or what happens to our dear Ugandans, some of our Ugandans, most of them, at the time of replacement, would want to change the particulars. Yet change of particulars is completely a different process. If you are applying for a replacement, please, it would be prudent for you to stick to the same details you had provided. If you want to change particulars, I will also take you through the process you go through to change names, to even change age details. Instead of you just losing a national ID, and all of a sudden you want to change from Tumwesije Bruno of 1999 to Tumwesije Bruno of 2006. So that's the challenge. Okay, your sister maybe could have tried or attempted to change details on her national ID.
Change the details, but again,
but I can assure you,
the process was very...
I can assure you now, it takes 3 weeks or just a fortnight, 2 weeks, you will be good to go. You can even give it a try in case you lose one, or in case you have a colleague who has lost one. And of course, I want to caution our dear Ugandans, because the last statement, of course, puts us into disrepute. When you say, until we got someone who could help us maneuver, Ugandans, I can assure you at NIRA we no longer, although things of Gambanogo are not in NIRA. Every Ugandan citizen has a right to get a national ID. In NIRA, we do not condone corruption. We do not condone such negative vices. If you have applied for your national ID, please be patient. The ID will come. You do not even have to put in a coin. You have a right as a citizen to be registered. You have a right to have a national ID. You have a right to have a national ID when you've lost it. You have a right to get a birth certificate. You are entitled to these services because you are a citizen. This country belongs to all of us. Patriotism does not only occur in Changwans. Patriotism starts even at our workplaces, even where you are. So for you telling our dear viewers that you had to get someone,
no, it was not in terms of corruption.
It would be good to tell them to follow the process. Because we
followed the process, but we had to get someone who works there to ask what is going on. It was not in any form of corruption. But again, because not everyone can have the opportunity to get someone who works there. Like I can know and ask Osborn, what is my process taking so long? That's the way it was. But not everyone will have that opportunity to know Osborn and ask why the process is taking so long. That's why I'm asking how it can be made easier so that every Ugandan.
Great. As the management of NIRA, of course, we are privy to this information. We know not every Ugandan citizen accesses our dear officers, maybe when you want. Because that's why we have actually brought in online services, so that you can even be at your own convenience. You can even be in your bedroom. You can even be from church or from this TV station, and you just click on the NIRA website, www.nira.ug. The moment you get onto the NIRA website, you are able to even put in your details. You are able to access your NIN number. You are able to know your process. You are able to authenticate and even verify and know the status where your ID, maybe if your ID has already been dispatched, or it has been produced, or if it has been, or the application has been registered, so that you do not even have to look for the Gambanog, like that time they normally use with Gambanog. With NIRA, services are for free. We are following the constitution. All Ugandan citizens have their rights, and we are here to protect your rights, not to violate them.
Indeed. So now, when it comes to national IDs, the first lot of national IDs that were ever procured and given out to Ugandans expire next year. And we've been told there's a mass enrollment in terms of the renewal of these IDs. And we've also seen, as far as this process is concerned, that we are going to see an upgrade to national ID that has a chip and whatnot. Can you take us through this process and how it's going to, who is going to be eligible for renewing this national ID and what the process will entail?
Of course, we are with our mass renewal and mass enrollment. We're going to start, as NIRA, we have planned to start in August this year. And like I told you at the beginning of this show, or session, I told you that NIRA is a government agency. We follow the laws and we coordinate with all other agencies. Section 26 of the Registration of Persons Act duties stipulate about the financial year. We are now closing this financial year, so we have not received funds for, of course, for the next financial year. As an authority, we put in plans where funds are appropriated by Parliament, and of course with guidance from the executive, because NIRA is under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The ministry will come in later when the funds have been appropriated. We shall have a mega press conference to address the dear citizens on when the dates are okay, on the exact date when we are supposed to start. But for now, as an authority, we are planning to kickstart this project or the program in August. We need to set a period as long as we get the funds. We are waiting for Parliament to appropriate the funds, and we do not want to. Of course, we do not have the powers even to mingle within the parliamentary work. Parliament has to be respected. Parliament has to do their work, and they have their jurisdiction. So when funds are appropriated, that's when we shall be able to let you know of the dates we are going to start the project. Actually, some people the media has been awash with stories of the vendors who is going to provide the software, Murubawa, Verdos, and so on. But all this will be answered at the right time. It's too early. It's too early.
Is it too early or too late? Because
it's not too late to. It's not too late.
If we are going to have these national IDs out, the expiry date is next year. If we are going to have them, then we should be having a service provider. And the question on that a lot of Ugandans have is, why are we intending? Why on the list of service providers do we have the very one who people have come out to say, some members of government have come out to say did not do a very good job the first time? And why has this process taken too long? Because again, we have to look to the 2026 elections as well when it comes to the voting list. So for you to say that there's still time, yet 2024 is just tomorrow, doesn't make sense.
The issue of the vendors, okay, the process is on. The moment we conclude the process, I will be able to even come back here, or even through our press briefings, to let you know who has maybe gone through. But right now, it would be biasing the process. It would not be good to delve into the process now to come on air as a spokesperson of an agency to tell us this one is able to do this one is able to do this. The public out there has to wait and know for us to present to them who has gone through, or who is doing this, or when we're going to start the IDs, instead of juxtaposing and biasing the process. I know you did law. We used to call it, this is not court, but in court, when you have let's say an electoral petition in court, we used to call it the law of sub judice, not so?
Yes.
The law of sub judice, I just have some knowledge of the law. We used to call it the law of sub judice, where you are trying to bias the judge or the judgment. Someone, maybe you've won an election, let's say in Kawempe North, or maybe Kaperebiongo County, or Amuria County, and your opponent, or Kachumbara County in Bukedea, and your opponent has taken you to court. And then your opponent has to run to the media to tell us how you rigged the election, how you bribed voters, how you did not have a national ID, how you were not a registered voter. In so doing, we are biasing the process. So in this case, it's good for us to be a bit patient and wait for the process to be concluded, instead of us giving opinions that are not even authenticated, that are not necessary at this time. On the other hand, what I would like to assure our dear Ugandans, as NIRA, as an authority, we are ready. We have already done we have done almost all the necessary processes. We expect to start in August, and this process is timely because, like my dear host has guided you or has told you, we shall be having the 2026 general election, and I've told you the Electoral Commission dwells so much on the NIRA system. For you to be able to vote, you must have applied for a national ID. In the last election, of course, those with NIN numbers and even those ones who had their applications rejected but had applied to get national IDs were all on the voters' registers. The moment we do this, the moment we do the mass enrollment, I've told you we still have around 15 million Ugandans who have not yet registered. So these Ugandans, the moment you register and you've clocked the voting age of 18, you'll be able to be on the voters register. And the moment we register, of course, this project is timely. It is good for planning. The country will be able to know we have identified these citizens. We have maybe in 2021 we had 200,000 registered citizens, maybe in Guru City, and now we have around 300,000 in the same Guru City. Maybe there has been a population increase, and we need to tell you that this project we plan to execute it at parish level, and you need to know, of course, when you have such activities coming in, we shall be able to give you employment, but it's still added commit because we have not yet got the funds. But the moment the employment opportunities are created, my dear young citizens, the young generation, apply and get these opportunities. Ability is of no account without opportunity. The moment these opportunities are available to you, please utilize it. My dear young citizens, all Ugandans, if you've never registered, use this chance to get the national IDs are for free. You have a right to be registered, and you have a right to get the national ID. Use this window and register. Provide the right details. Of course, we know there are some districts where it's not easy to access all the district headquarters. I don't know if you've been to Buheju district.
Yes,
someone from Bahanga on Sika sub-county to access Buheju district, it's not an easy thing. Or if you have been to Soronko district, someone to cross from Budadiri, that side of Budadiri West constituency, to Budadiri town, where to Soronko town, where the district headquarters are, it's not all a gog for him. If you've been to Nebi district, for someone to come from Erusi, that side of as we're crossing to Paida, Zombo, to come to Nebi district, it may not be easy. The same with at least of Arua, there has been redemarcations. Even Arua right now, for someone to come from Vura, you know Vura? For someone to come from Aiv at the end near the border, Aiv, the city of Onduparaka, if you like football, to come from Aiv up to Arua, it's not an easy, it's not an icing on the cake. So that's why we are basically bringing all these services to you, our dear citizens, at the parish level. If you've been in Mbarara, right now, Rwampara district, Kashari, or Mbarara district are still under Mbarara city. Within, because we only have an office in Mbarara. So if you are within Mbarara, you are from Muizi, or in Buchiro, in Mbarara. Of course, those are the farthest places within Mbarara as an area where we have NIRA. If you have not been able to make it to Kamukuzi, where NIRA has an office, but now NIRA is bringing to you the services at the parish level, please come and register. Come and register. If you've been in Kabarore, and you've failed to make it from Rwimi, because Bunyangabu is still using the Kabarore office, if you fail to make it from Rwimi, the farthest point of Kabarore district, from Rwimi, Ochibito, and you fail to make it from Mugusu to Kabarore town, NIRA in the mass enrollment project, NIRA will be able to bring the services to your parish. Come and register. This is your maiden chance. Come and register.
Indeed, and we shall see how that registration goes on. But for now, we'll have to put a pin in the discussion because we have a commercial break to get into, after which we continue with more here at Issues at Hand. You are still watching Issues at Hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV, and our discussion is still ongoing when it comes to NIRA and national IDs. But something that a question we've also had as far as the national IDs are concerned is children and their registration process. So for those of us who have children who would like to get NIN numbers and national IDs, what is the process of registration?
Thank you, sir. Actually, yesterday we had a press briefing. I know Family TV, of course, had representatives. I would like to take our viewers again through this process. We have to note that as NIRA will register Ugandans of two different categories: Ugandans who are below 16 years and Ugandans who are above 16 years. Even if someone has just been born this morning, he or she qualifies to get a NIN number. But what's the process? This we have, of course, we need okay, parents have to provide their national IDs. Then one of the parents at least should be able to bring this child to the registration center, most preferably at the district. Only in this case, we are putting in outreaches at sub-counties, parish levels, and sometimes to villages that are populous, that have very many people. So at the moment the person, the parents, of course, after the parents have provided their national IDs, we also need a birth certificate. We just provide a birth certificate or a birth notifier that was provided when this child was born. If the child is already 10 years, it will of course be good to bring the parents' IDs and photocopy of what? And at least a copy of the birth certificate or any other relevant academic document, or a relevant document like an academic document, baptism card, and so on. So those are the requirements we need for someone to be registered below 16 years. Parents' IDs, a birth certificate or a birth notifier, and any other relevant document for the child. So when this person is registered, it takes just a week for him or her to get a NIN number. A NIN number, or a national identification number, is a unique number that is put on your national ID when you've grown up, for you, dear citizen, who is below 16 years. This national ID number, or the NIN number, you have to remain with it till your demise, till you leave this planet. This national ID number, or the NIN number, will appear on your national ID. Even if you lose your national ID, you will maintain the NIN number. So this NIN number is very helpful because you can use it to get a bank, to open a bank account. You can use it to even be registered in school, because right now it's a requirement by the Ministry of Education for all Ugandan citizens, especially the ones who are going to school, to be having NIN numbers. It is also good. You can also use it to get a passport in case you want to go abroad, or it can even be used as a travel document because we offer confirmation letters. Then when you've gone beyond the age of 16, we have to note that in here you have to do an update, because someone who was registered at the age of 3 or 4, by the time this person clocks 16, he or she at least has changed. The face has changed, the facial appearance, and many other things. You may be trying to change your details. Maybe you were born when your dad was living maybe in Mbare, or he was living in Kitgum, and you have now transferred to Kampala. You would want to update your details. So you are always required to come back to the nearest NIRA office to do what we call an update that will prove that this person has now grown up. But of course, we would need your physical appearance, because we have to take pictures or the images to prove that you really came to NIRA office to take these pictures. Or someone, or you may be register your child when he or she is 5 years of age, and by age of 16 someone else registers him or her, even without the consent of that person. So it is always good to bring that's why we always insist that you have to come with the child, or the child has to come to our NIRA office for an update. We normally call it get first ID registration or update. For you to qualify for an update, you must have a NIN number. The moment you do that update like this at the age of 16, is been in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, just a fortnight, you'll be having your national ID. So, and of course, we are cognizant of the fact that, of course, you all know that over 78%, at least 78% of Ugandans are citizens below the age of 30. Not mainly the youth, because the youth have to be from 18 to 29, according to the National Youth Council Act. If you you can read it from 18 to 29, those ones are the youth. But when we're talking about the young generation, the 78% of Ugandans below the age of 30, we talk about even those who have just been born 1 day old, 2 years, 4 years, 28, and so on. So we are cognizant of the fact that majority of our population are Ugandans below the age of 30, and of which majority of them are still at school, especially because in Uganda most times you leave university when you are 25, 24. Except for our exceptional cases, like mine left university when I was 22 from UCU. But most Ugandans leave university at the age of 23, 24, 25. So it is good for all, that's why we are targeting all these young citizens below the age of 25, the students, so that you utilize the holidays to register if you've never registered, such that you utilize the holidays to do an update, because we have very many students who are registered when we did the mass registration for students in 2017, but have never bothered to do an update, either for lack of information or for lack of the requirements. So this is your chance to utilize this holiday and get to your district. We shall even we shall even do outreaches in your constituencies, the counties. Please use this chance as a student to update your details. Get to the nearest NIRA office or to the school where you were registered from in 2017 and get your NIN number. Proceed with that.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. One, does that mean, because I remember actually back then that there were schools who were registering students for national IDs, and there are students who up to now have not gotten national IDs after that registration process. So do schools still carry out registration? The NIRA officers go to schools and carry out registration? And two, is this process free of charge, or is there a payment requirement?
Thank you so much. To put the record straight, schools do not register citizens for national IDs. Like I told you, under Section 4 and Section 5 of the Registration of Persons Act, the function of identifying and registering citizens was assigned to NIRA by government. It is NIRA that registers students, or it is NIRA that registers all citizens. In the month of April, we have been sending our registration assistants to schools to register all these students. But of course, we have not yet finished the process. That's why we are following you up to your villages. We are following you up to the holiday programs so that we can be registered. So it is NIRA, or normally what we normally do, we coordinate with schools. We send registration assistants. Of course, schools give us their days, because you cannot just enter a school and carry out your activities. We all went through schools. Schools have a timetable, have a definitive curriculum. They know they have to teach, so they have to allocate some little time for you to come in and register citizens. But the role of registration is for NIRA. So what NIRA, and this process is free, because every Ugandan citizen has a right to get a national ID. It's your right. So we cannot charge any coin for anyone to be registered. What happened last year, schools were submitting details to UNEB to say we have all this number of students in our schools and so on. But that was not a NIRA program. Of course, that's when students had to take pictures and so on. In here, what we are doing right now, we are coming into your schools. The ones who are already in holidays, we are serving you. We are even making a priority. We are actually embarking on their program. So I say we at headquarters, we have even beefed up. We even work day and night processing their data, because when someone is registered in Mitoma or is registered in Kibito, okay, let's say Bunyangabo, this person's details have to be captured in the system. Of course, we transfer them to Kampala. Then at the headquarters, we process your data, according to your NIN number, and process your national ID. So at the headquarters, we are working even 24 hours. We have staff work within the day, and ones who come in later to make sure that these children, these students are really accorded NIN numbers, are really given their national IDs. Basically, what I would like to sum up this with is, the moment you have a child that is not registered, even if he or she is 1 year old or 2 years old, please take him or her to the nearest NIRA office. Go with the IDs of the parents, a birth certificate, and any other document. Have this child registered. And if your child has already clocked 16 and was registered before, get a NIN number, attach those documents, the parents' IDs, the birth certificate, and any other relevant academic document like academic or baptism. Then this person will be registered, and your child will get his or her national ID in the next fortnight, within 2 weeks. And if you are a Ugandan citizen who is already 18, for you have to go through a process. You have to get the other LC1 letter I told you at the beginning of the show. You have to get an LC1 letter from NIRA office, fill it, get stamps and signatures appended by the chairperson LC1, the GISO, and the DISO, and attach your photocopies of parents' IDs and the birth certificate. You'll also be registered and you'll be able to get your national ID. And
Now, unfortunately, we've run out of time. But what last parting shot would you like to leave with us concerning these processes, and especially to Ugandans who are still unsure about getting a national ID, or those who are about to have a child and they'd like to get a birth certificate?
My message is, all our dear Ugandan citizens, let's have love our country. Patriotism begins with you and I. Patriotism begins with you and I, and you have to love your country by obeying government and by following government programs. For you to follow government programs, you have to follow the guidelines or the procedures, the well laid down procedures. Like I've guided, it's your right to have a national ID. It's your right to have a birth certificate. It's your right to be registered. These services are for free if you're being registered for the first time to get a national ID. For the birth certificate, you pay 5,000, but in the bank. Money to be paid for NIRA services. If you've lost an ID, you get a birth certificate, you have to pay in the bank. And we are, of course, like I've told you, we do not have these corruption tendencies in there. We do not have the gambanogs, like maybe people have been painting it. Make sure you get your national ID, you get it for free. Take it from us, register, as we shall also do the needful. In 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, you'll be able to get your national ID. We've also called upon all our dear Ugandans that have never registered. Please come and register. Please use this maiden chance. It's not over till it's over. Do not lose hope. This country belongs to all of us. Come and register. You'll be able to get your national ID. Ability is of no account without opportunity. For our dear citizens, the sustainability of a forest depends on its saplings. This is your chance. Register. The future of this country is in your hands. Please utilize this opportunity and register. Thank you so much.
Indeed, thank you so much as well, Mr. Osborn Mushabe, for coming here on Issues at Hand and clearing the air when it comes to these processes, especially when it comes to the national ID and documents such as the birth certificate. You've had, take this opportunity, make sure you register, make sure you renew your national ID, use this opportunity so that you can move forward and so that our country and our nation can grow at large. Thank you for joining us here on Issues at Hand this morning. We shall return on Friday. For now, have a blessed day and enjoy the rest of the programming here on Church of Uganda Family TV.